I'm going to do the impossible and I'm going to survive the entire Pokemon franchise without losing a single battle. And to do that, I gotta get some help from team members from the last game. Welcome back Walrein, Ninetales, and Vileplume, the only surviving members from the Kanto region when we took on Fire Red. Can we make it through Platinum using this set of rules right here? You'll want to stick around to see how this ends up. And without further ado, let's head on into the Sinnoh region. Back at it again, but this time in the Sinnoh region. This is Rowan, and I'm Crispy Tepig. Let's see if we can make it through another region without dying. Well, that was a nice little show we got to watch on TV, but I got stuff to do, my man. First, we're gonna start off by watching some TV, and then we're gonna get out into the beautiful town of Twin Leaf Town. And then we're gonna check out our best friend. Well, at least I think he might be our best friend. We're gonna go hang out with Barry for a little bit. And of course, he's always OCD about every little thing, and he's gonna find us 10 million. I don't have that money, and you don't have the money either, Barry. But let's just meet up with each other out on the route. Too slow? Who do you think I am, Barry? I am not Usain Bolt, and we are not dashing into that grass. Did you tell me I am not dashing into that grass? I swear to God, I will tell your mom. Oh wait, someone's coming. I think it's the professor. Whew, thank God, because I could not run that fast, and this man was scaring me because I know how fast he is. A briefcase, let's see. Which Pokemon should I choose? You know, I'm very impartial to my man Turtwig. And I think we're gonna go ahead and go with Turtwig. I know a lot of people wanted me to use Chimchar because the amount of fire types in this region are kinda small, but I'm gonna go with my boy Turtwig because I believe in him. And if this battle's anything to say, then it's gonna show that I'm not gonna have a great time in the Sinnoh region since we went ahead and lost our first battle. So bad signs ahead, I guess, but luckily the Nuzlocke doesn't start until we get some Pokeballs. So we might have blacked out now, but it's not because we had a bad night of drinking. That's because we didn't prepare ourselves for the beginning battle. So we're gonna hang out with Bear. We're gonna go up to the lake and see what is going on. We see a blue-haired man. What's he doing up here? The flowing tongue. This man's crazy. This guy's on drugs. Barry, we gotta get out of here, my man. I am totally scared. Actually, let's go check out the view real quick. After we get our fill of the lake, we make our way over to Sand Gym Town where we get to meet up with Dawn once again. We try to head into the lab and then out comes Barry one more time. We get to nickname our Turtwig Franklin just like the turtle, and we also pick up our Pokedex. We then make our way outside with Dawn and get a brief little tour of the town before making our way north where Dawn gets to teach us how to catch a Pokemon. Like I didn't already know how. We make our way back to the lake and we get to pick up our first encounter of a Bidoof. Alright. And the next route, we get to pick up a Starly as our second encounter. After the Starly, we head back up north where we just were with Dawn, and we get to pick up a Shinx as our third encounter. We finally make our way into Jubilife City, and we get to see Dawn one more time. We head into Jubilife and get to meet a guy named Looker, who looks very suspicious. We then run around town to see if we can find 3 different clowns, which we do pretty easily. They ask him some questions, and we get some coupons so we can get the Poketich. After we're done dealing with those clowns, we make our way to the route to the east to find the real clown and Barry, our rival, and we beat him to an absolute pulp. This guy is not even close to being on my level, but we train up with the trainers on the route and we make our way into the cave where we get a Zubat as our encounter. Welcome to the squad, Zubat. We finally make our way into Oreburgh City and we get stopped by this guy who tells us to go to the gym so we can see Barry one more time. We then head up to the route to the north to get a Machop as our encounter before heading into the Oreburgh mine, where we get a Geodude as our encounter down there. We watch Rourke smash a boulder and then we make his way over to the gym. We battle the trainers and we get Gummy to evolve into a Silcoon. Are we ready at this point? Not quite, because we actually find a trainer that we want to trade our Machop for and get an Abra. So we get Abra on our squad and we name him Kazaa. Not that we had a choice. We then finally get to challenge the gym leader and we destroy him using Franklin's Absorbs. Very, very easy battle if you have a grass type, if you know what I'm saying. We deal with Barry one more time before heading back to Jubilife City where we get to meet up with Rowan and Dawn who are having some troubles with the Galactic grunts. So we assist them and do a double little battle and we destroy them to an absolute pulp before continuing on our journey. I'm starting to get the idea that all this professor wants to talk about is this Pokedex. We finally make our way into Floaroma Town before we head to the route to the east so we can find our next encounter. What's it gonna be, you ask? I wanted to be Buizel, but of course we get a Pachirisu. Welcome to the squad. We go over to the building to see what's going on, and there's a Galactic grunt who won't let us in the building, so we have to beat his ass really quickly before heading over to the flower field. And then this poor old man is also being harassed, so we get to deal with them as well. Before we continued on, I wanted to make sure I got my team up a couple levels because we were starting to get a little bit under-leveled. So we head outside and I get Franklin to evolve into a beautiful Grottle. And while you're out here, I also got Stars to evolve into a Staravia. Now I thought I was ready to take on Mars. Can I beat that Perugly? We'll find out very, very soon. We beat down the Perugly using Absorb from Franklin, and we just demolished Mars to absolute pieces. Very easy battle if you know what you're doing. We save the man and his daughter comes in. What a nice family reunion we got going there. We head on out to the route to the north, and we finally get our next encounter of a Shellos who I was really hoping we would get. We spend up a little time training up against the trainers on the route before continuing on to Eterna Forest, where we get to hang out with Cheryl, one of the coolest NPCs in the game. We make our way through the forest, but not before we get Kazaa to evolve into a beautiful Kadabra. The team is starting to come along, as well as Mohawk evolving into a beautiful Luxio. We say our goodbyes to Cheryl before we make our way back into Eterna Forest so we can get our next encounter. Now here I was kind of hoping I get something buggy, you know, maybe a Baneri or something, but no, we get a Ghastly that we could easily have gotten in the chateau, but that's totally fine. But we make our way into Eterna City, and then we head over to the big statue to see the guy with the blue hair once again, and I still think he's on drugs. In the route to the east, we get a Metatite as our next encounter before we make our way back into Eterna City, and we get to meet someone who looks very important who has blonde hair. Maybe it's Barry's sister. Anyway, we talk to her, and then we make our way over to the gym, and we get to meet up with the gym leader before we head on inside to take her on. We jump around the flowers a little bit, battle a couple of the trainers, and then we make our way up to the top so we can take on the leader, Gardenia. Now, I already know what you're thinking. How did I get Grottle to get to 1 HP on a Turtwig? Don't worry about that. The point is that we survived and we got stars to take out the Roserade. Now, the main issue really came from this Charm, who actually delivers our first death of the lock to Plumps the Bidoof. This was a very sad moment for me because I really thought Bidoof could actually make it all the way to the end. Not sure why, but I had high hopes for him. Anyway, Stars barely makes it out of this alive with 6 HP. We get the wing attack off, and we get the badge. Whew, I'm not sure if that critical hit mattered, but I am very glad we got it just in case. But we get the badge and make our way back to the Pokemon Center and say goodbye to Plumps the Bidoof. Good long, friend. We make our way into the HQ and we see what's going on in here. Some guy tries to talk to us and we have no idea who it is, but it ends up being Looker, and that's totally fine. We make our way up to the top to see a stare down happening with these two guys. We see an item over to the right and we gotta pick it up before we absolutely do anything else. We take a look at that Baneri and we pick up the item, which happens to be an upgrade. Now, before I wanted to face her, I wanted to make sure I got an extra encounter, so I head over to Mount Coronet and I pick up a Bronzor as our encounter over there, and then make our way back to the HQ. Now, usually in my Nuzlocks, I usually have a lot of issues taking on Jupiter and her Skuntank, but since I had Kazaa, it was pretty easy because I could just use Confusion on everything, and then I used Franklin to finish up the job against the Skuntank with his return. Whew, no deaths so far, so we're looking pretty good. Well, besides the Bidoof, but does he even really count? Anyway, we talk to Jupiter after the battle, and she tells us some story about Team Galactic, and we just don't really care. We head outside, and Cynthia gives us an egg. Am I gonna use it? I'm not sure at this point. We'll see what happens with the team later on. We make our way down to Cycling Road, and we continue the trek down there so we can get our next encounter, which I hope is a Gligar, and of course, we do get the Gligar. Super excited to have this little guy on my team. We make our way to the right before getting stopped by Dawn one more time before we make our way into Mount Coronet. After answering a very hard decision, right or left, we make our way into Mount Coronet. We meet the guy who's on drugs, who's just walking around the building like he owns the place. We make our way outside to continue on to the route, into Route 208. We battle a couple of the trainers, and we make our way over to Hearthome City, where we get ran into by a random Pokemon that happens to be a Baneri. I was really hoping I'd get you on my team. Maybe I'll just steal this one. But no, I'll be a good guy and I'll let you have it back. We make our way back outside to pick up our encounter, which is a Budew. Not sure if I'll use you, but Roserade's always a great option, especially in this game. Back in the city, we make it over to the contest hall and happen to see my mom just casually having a great time without me. You're supposed to be miserable at home without me, Mom, not out doing fun stuff. Get back home. Anyway, we continue over to the gym, and it's very spooky, but we managed to make our way through all the way to the top, and we take on Fantina. Turns out Fantina's not that hard as long as you got a Psychic-type Pokemon on your team. Kazaa proves to be an absolute monster, taking out her Haunter and just doing some absolute damage to everything on her team. But once Miss Magius comes out, we gotta switch out to Stars so we can play around with her attacks a little bit. She tries using the Shadow Ball, we just keep switching back in so we can get that resistance to it. Finally, we get scored by a nice advantage and we get the Feint attack so we can make the final attack and get the badge. Whew, that one was a little bit harder, but we managed to make it out with the badge. After that rousing victory, we make our way down to the south and we meet up with our rival, Barry, once again. Can he beat me this time? Can he do anything? Of course he can. Now we got Slugs on our team, we can't lose to this guy anymore. We just keep on doing what we do, and we use Kazaa and we use Slugs, and we get that Psybeam off, and we destroy his Monferno. Even though we're lower level, we're still doing a great job. We finish it off with the return with the Franklin, and we destroy his Roselia to claim the victory one last time. Barry, you gotta get some new Pokemon on your team. But we finally get our first egg of the lock from our returning team, and we do get Vulpix, who returns from the Kanto region. Welcome back to the team, Scarlet. We also pick up a Ralt on the following routes right next to Barry, so maybe we can use that if Kazaa ever decides to die. We head into Salacion Town and we run into an old friend who we haven't seen in forever. It's Barry. What are the absolute odds? Anyway, we get the HM for Defog, and we also make our way up the creepy little tower and that route to the south. We find ourselves against some Ponytails on the route to the north, and unfortunately, this is where we do see a death for Kazaa. And now it's honestly probably my fault because I just said I got that Ralt, and I was like, maybe if he died, you know, kind of thing, and I probably just cursed myself. So that's on Crispy, and I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to go ahead and release Kadabra. I'm so sorry. But we are gonna add Ralts to the squad, so what's going on, Wally? How's it going? We head back to the route in the north, and we get our redemption in our own Ponyta. That way we can always be reminded of who killed our Kadabra. Welcome to the squad, Ponyta. We continue on and we go buy a case of Moo Moo Milk because Moo Moo Milk is a really good thing to have in this game because it's so cheap and it heals you up a lot. We make our way over to Route 215 to continue our journey and see if we can get another encounter. What's it gonna be this time? It's rainy, so we gotta get ourselves a little Meryl. Maybe I'll use it, maybe not, but I currently already have a water type on my team, so maybe not right now. We make our way over into the next city to see what's going down over here. We make our way over to the gym and we get to see our good buddy Don. What's up, Don? Long time no see. After doing a little catch up with Don, we make our way into the gym. We start punching those bags so we can make our way across the gym so we can take on Maylene. Whew, this is always a fun little puzzle to do. It's a little bit confusing when you're first playing through Platinum, but once you get used to it, it's not that bad. Anyway, before we take on Maylene, I wanted to make sure I got Slugs to evolve into a Gastrodon that we had the best chance possible of taking her down. After we get our evolution to our Slug monster, we make our way back into the gym so we can take on Maylene, the fighting type gym leader. Now you gotta be careful with her because her Lucario is absolutely insane with its arsenal of moves. So my plan here was to use Staravia and just use Double Team and Roost and just kind of keep playing around with her meta types so I can maybe set up to get ready for that Lucario. However, it was getting really scary towards the end, so I kept using that Roost, hoping that Lucario wouldn't do too much to me. Goes for the Drain Punch, misses it, and we get the Aerial Ice off, and we finally take out Maylene. Whew! It's a little closer than I would have liked, but we take it out, and we get the next badge. We make our way out of the gym, and we get to see our good buddy Don one more time. What's going on, Don? You need some help? I'll always help you, Don, but if it was Barry, it would be a very different story, because Barry just annoys me so much. Anyway, we go over, and we go see what's going on, and we get into a double battle with Don. Now, Don, you better be a good battler, because I'm not going to be carrying this battle for both of us. We beat them down, and we get Wally to evolve into a Curlia. She's so beautiful, but you're going to be Gallade, so not beautiful for too long. Once we're inside the HQ, we also get the HM for Fly, who Staravia's really gonna like. We also head back to the Pokemon Center to get our second egg of the lock. This is number 2 of 3, and we get to see our good buddy Spheal once again. What's up, Circus? Been a long time since I've last seen ya. We head on out to the route to the south to get our next encounter, and I was really hoping for one of my favorite Pokemon. And I do in fact get the Hippopotas. I was so happy with this one. We get him and we name him Hungry. Welcome to the squad, Hungry. After getting the Hippopotas, we get our next encounter on this route for Route 215, and we get to see a Rhyhorn as our encounter. Now, he's really good. I might not use him, but he's a really good HM slave. So, I mean, worst case scenario, he can rock climb for me. We continue on to the route to Route 213, and we get a yellow shard as we come out, and we make our way down into Pastoria City, where the home of the next gym is. Before we take on the gym though, I wanted to get my encounter of a Quagsire on the route to the west, and then maybe do a little bit trip into the Safari Zone. You know, these usually don't work out for me very well, but you know, you gotta try as much as you can. I throw some bait at Tangela, he starts eating it, and then he just leaves. You are so rude, Tangela. I feed you and you just leave. That's so rude of you. That's fine, I don't want Tangela on my team anyway. But we do get Scarlet Turtle and Flamethrower, which is kind of what I was waiting for before I evolved her. So we get the Flamethrower, and then I use the Firestone so we can get Ninetales back on the squad. Woo, the team's starting to really come together. We also get Franklin to hit level 32, and you know what that means. We also get a Torterra on our squad, and we also get access to Leechy, which is gonna help out so much later on, especially right now with this water type gym coming up. I also wanted to get my encounter at the Pokemon Mansion, and I was hoping I'd get an Eevee, and maybe I could use a Glaceon or something, or maybe a Leafeon, but no, we get a Pikachu, which is totally fine, I guess. Raichu is a great option, so if I wanted to use him, I definitely can. We train up a little bit with the trainers outside, we take on a couple of these police officers so that we can get our Scorp to evolve into a Gliscor. Now this is a really good addition because of his access to his elemental Fang attacks. That's really going to help us later on with Ice Fang and Fire Fang and definitely Thunder Fang. So I'm glad we finally got him on the squad. After all these new additions to the team, we make our way back to Pastoria and go into the gym, but of course we get stopped by Barry one more time. Barry, I am absolutely sick of you. Are you going to challenge me again? Oh my god, he is! Leave me alone. Anyway, he's not hard, so we just beat him down one more time, although his team is looking kind of strong, and I'm really under level, so I might have to tramp a little bit before taking on this gym leader. But before we do that, we want to battle through a couple of the trainers, and we also get Circus to evolve into a Celio. She's getting so close to being a Walrein once again. We train up a tiny bit more outside in the grass with all the trainers, and then we finally get to take on Crasher Wake, the water-type gym leader. Now, he can be really tough, especially with his Floatzel, because I'm pretty sure it has Thunder Fang and maybe also Ice Fang, so you gotta be careful with this thing. There's the Ice Fang, and it puts Franklin at a really low health, but my goal here was to use the Leech Seed. This was the integral thing to make sure that we have victory here. We use Slugs, get the Body Slam off, and then to get the Crunch off, but then, of course, the Leech Seed does help us out. So this is why I really wanted to have Leech Seed on my Torterra. It's absolutely integral to make sure I win. Quagsire comes out, we use the Razor Leaf, and that is an absolute no game for my Franklin. Sorry, Crasher Wake, you had to lose. And then, of course, one more time, we gotta meet up with Barry, because if it's Platinum, you gotta meet up with Barry at least once every 2 minutes. Crasher Wake also comes out to talk to us, and he seems a little bit stressed out. What's going on, Crasher Wake? We hear a giant explosion outside, and then a Galactic Grunt comes running out of the Safari Zone. So of course we gotta chase him down. We chase him down, we meet him up at the beach, but he doesn't want to have any of this smoke. So he continues on his little path, and we meet him up at the lake, who still doesn't want to challenge us, but we force him into a battle anyway, and he's honestly super duper weak, and we beat him really quick. After that, Cynthia shows up, and she gives us some drugs for the Psyduck. Are you a drug dealer, Cynthia? Is that what you're doing on the side? After getting the goods, we hand deliver the drugs to her customers, which are just a bunch of Psyduck who have really bad headaches. So I think the drugs might have just been some Advil, but she calls them secret potions. Okay, Cynthia, I know what you're doing. I know how you play in that markup game. We clear up the Psyducks, and we also get our egg encounter that we forgot to pick up after the gym. So we get Oddball the Oddish back into the squad. Now, what I feel really bad about this because I don't really plan to use Oddball right now just because we do have Torterra. So maybe if Torterra does die, we might use Oddball, but unfortunately, I just don't see it happening. Anyway, we make our way up to the route to the north, and we finally get to see Team Galactic one more time. We're trying to do something sketchy, and I don't know if I trust them very well. We have a brief talk with Cynthia's grandma and make our way into the cave to look at these paintings. They are absolutely gorgeous. I wonder who painted them. But then in comes Cynthia's grandma, but then also comes the guy who's on drugs, but this time, he wants a battle. And if he wants a battle, I'll give him a battle. I don't let drug dealers do anything around here. Cyrus proves to be a weakling just like all the other Team Galactic grunts. We beat down his Murkrow, and we do what we always do, and that's beat the bad guys. Thanks, Scorp. We meet up with Cynthia outside, and then she talks about monopolizing Pokemon, which honestly, if you think about it, is not a bad idea, but we're not gonna get into economics right now. Anyway, we head on over to Canalave City to where we can find the next badge, but before we continue on, we make our way back into that route where we just were to pick up a Mr. Mime as our encounter. Now, I don't plan to use him, but I can still add him to the squad nonetheless. And of course, right before we're on our way to the gym, we meet up with Barry one more time. Now, this is where he does get a little bit scary in the game. Now, I know I've been slating you all game, Barry, but I really need you to not do anything to my team because it's really starting to come together, so please don't do anything. But unfortunately, he doesn't listen to me, and unfortunately, a fan favorite in Scarlet the Ninetales does faint, and that means her journey ends here, and it does also end with Slugs the Gastrodon. So we just lost 2 members in the span of a couple seconds. It's very, very sad, especially with Scarlet, because she made it so far. She made it all the way from the Hoenn region all the way to Sinnoh, and this is how she dies, on a bridge to the hands of Barry. But we have to release them, so we say goodbye to Slugs, and we say a very, very sad goodbye to Scarlet the Ninetales. As long as we keep Circus alive, I think I'll be okay. But in the meantime, this is what the squad is kind of looking like. We do add that egg to our team, which is actually that egg from Cynthia. And we also go pick up a Dawnstone so we can finally evolve our Kirlia into a Gallade. I've got a lot of plans for this Gallade, so I really hope he doesn't die, because he has a really good arsenal moves that we can use to our advantage. But now that we got Galactic covered, we can finally go and hatch this egg that was given to us from Cynthia a very long time ago. And of course, we get a Togepi. We're gonna plan to use Togekiss on our team because of all the moves it can get. So hopefully this thing can make it far as well. We make our way back to Cantilever City and we hop on this boat with this random stranger who I guess we're just gonna trust, I guess. And we make our way over to Iron Island and we get to meet up with Riley, a fan favorite. He also gives us the HM for strength, so I really appreciate that, Riley. And I just met you, but I appreciate the item. We team up with him, we head down into the cave, and we continue on to see what's going down on Iron Island. Hopefully we can get some cool encounters here. And maybe we can get an evolution, just like we got with Hungry the Hippopotas, and we finally get our Hippowdon. Look at her in all of her glory. She is absolutely stunning. We meet up with Team Galactic at the back of the cave, and we team up with Riley one last time so we can take them down. This is also right when Togepi decides to evolve into a Togetic. That happened really fast, by the way. So she must really, really value our friendship, and I appreciate that Togetic. Also, I named her Omelet, and that is probably the best name you can give to a Togepi. If you got better names, submit them down below. But we get Togekick, and maybe we can get a Togekiss really soon as long as we get a shiny stone. After our egg evolves, we actually almost get another egg from Riley, but unfortunately we don't have any room in our bag or our inventory. But before we get that egg, we actually go find a shiny stone and we evolve Omelet into a Togekiss, and the team's starting to really come together. But now that we got Togekiss, we're actually gonna head back to Iron Island and pick up that egg that Riley gave us. And spoiler alert, it's a Riolu, so if we want to use Lucario, we definitely have that option. Now before I go to the gym, I actually head over to the Fuego Ironworks and I pick up a Magnemite as our encounter over there. After this, we decide to make our way back to Cantilever City so we can take on the next gym. We make our way up to the top and we see Byron, who happens to be Rourke's dad. So if you didn't know that, a little bit of a lore for you, but he's actually really easy as long as you got ground types. And if you know me, I like ground types, and that's basically what my entire team kind of looks like right now. So we take him out without any issues at all. We just keep on Earthquaking with Franklin. And then of course, when we get outside, we get to see Barry once again, but it seems like something's going on. So he brings us to the library so we can have a double day. I mean, not a double day. This is just a family situation going on here. But something actually ends up happening and we check out the TV to see what's going on. And it looks like something has exploded at a nearby lake. So of course we gotta go check it out because we're nosy and we gotta see what's going on with that stuff. After the broadcast, we all head downstairs, and this is where Rowan actually splits us up into 3 separate teams so we can go check on each individual lake. So I head on out and I make over my way to my lake, and there's a bunch of galactic grunts here, so I battle them down, and there's a bunch of Magikarp obviously just, you know, doing their thing, flopping around weakly. We make our way into the cave and we see Saturn's actually in here. And you recognize my face? I'm that famous around these parts. I am so honored. Anyway, we take him down using Omelet, and his Air Slash is an absolute monster to basically anything. So we use Omelet, and we see that we are done with this place. We make our way over to Lake Verity, only to see Professor Rowan doing absolutely nothing. Rowan, you gotta do something, my man. Dawn is back there struggling, and you're just looking at the view, doing nothing. Anyway, we make our way back and we see that Mars needs some help taken care of, so we use Omelet once again and we just keep using Aura Sphere because, like I said, Omelet is an absolute nightmare for absolutely anything. After taking out Mars, we have a brief conversation with Rowan and Dawn, and of course, we gotta go check on Barry because Lord knows he can't save himself. We use Spike the HM Slave to get our way through Mount Coronet before making our way to the snowy peak of Route 216. Ooh, it's a little cold out here, but we gotta bundle up and make sure we do our job. Anyway, we try to get a Snover as our encounter, and we actually end up killing it. So no Snover for me, at least not on that route, maybe on the following route. We do end up running into Maylene, and I don't know what she's doing, but she's not wearing shoes. And she's gonna get hypothermia, she's gonna get frostbite. You gotta get out of here. We get the HM for Rock Climb and we continue on. This snowstorm is absolutely brutal, Crispy. You gotta get out of here. We finally make our way up to the next lake and we try to get our next encounter, which does happen to be a nice little Snover. So we do actually get redemption for the Snover. We add him to the squad, but not actually. We just put him in the PC, but he's here. We make our way over to the gym and we solve the hardest puzzle in the game, the snowball puzzle. Now this took me a long time as a kid to do, but now that I'm older, it's still pretty hard. But we do make our way up to Canis and we take on the Ice-type gym leader. Now this wasn't all that hard since I had a pretty good squad with me, so I just kept using Circus and Surf to kind of resist those ice and water attacks. So that wasn't too bad, but we end up beating Candace pretty easily with no deaths. Whew! And I was a little worried about that since I lost my Ninetales, but at least we did it. We use Rhyhorn to get up the slope and we meet up with Barry, who's just staring out into the abyss because he's sad because he lost. It's okay, Barry. We can all be winners around here. Anyway, we gotta stop Team Galactic, so we gotta head back to Veilstone and do what we gotta do. Once we're back in Veilstone, we make our way over to the HQ. We talk to one of these grunts who apparently he remembers me, but I don't remember him. But you know, whatever. I'm famous around these parts, always remember that. We also meet up with Looker, who gives us the key so we can finally get access into the building. Thank you, Looker, you are an absolute lifesaver. We make our way up top to see what's going on. We battle through a few of these Galactic grunts, and we get to watch a speech by the great man himself, the guy who's on drugs, Cyrus. So we watch his little speech go down, and I am absolutely just moved to tears by his performance. Honestly, he is my idol. I kind of want to join Team Galactic at this point. But unfortunately, I am the protagonist in this story, and I must continue my journey, and I gotta take out the bad guy. We make our way up to the top, we use the Galactic key, and we are face to face with the man himself, my idol, Cyrus. Yes, I've heard your speech, and it was absolutely beautiful. We use Omelet, and we just keep air slashing to take out his Honchkrow, and we just do what we keep doing. We just keep winning. There is no losing here. And we get the reward for beating Cyrus, and we get the Master Ball that I don't really intend to use, but maybe we'll use it later on. Now that we're back in the lab, we see what's going down. It looks like Jupiter is keeping these 3 Pokemon captive. So we gotta save them, obviously. So we gotta, apparently she wants to get payback. You think you're gonna beat me, Crispy, the great man, who actually just took out your boss, by the way. So I don't know what, do you think you're stronger than your boss? Because I don't think you actually think that, and if you do, I'm gonna tell on you. Anyway, we release the 3 beings, and then they find out that the red chain has already been created, so apparently I'm already too late. So I gotta head to Mount Coronet because I gotta stop what's about to go down. We do meet up with Looker, and he tells me some, shenanigans have been happening, and we continue our way up to Mount Coronet. On our way up, we do get Circus to evolve into Walrein. Welcome back to the squad, Circus the Walrein. However, we do have to cut the reunion a little bit short because we got bigger fish to fry on top of this mountain. So we continue our way up, and we get to the snowy part of Mount Coronet, which means we're getting really, really close. We make our way up, and we finally make our way into the Spear Pillar. We catch a couple of grunts, and we destroy them in our path in order to stop Cyrus. We see a couple of the admins, and they actually want to battle us as well, but this is very unfair because this is a 2v1 situation. If only I had someone, maybe a Dawn or maybe Looker. No, not Barry! Whatever, I guess he's the best case scenario right now. Anyway, I do end up losing Spike in this battle. Not that he was like a mainstay in my team. Whatever, bye Spike. You were just an HM slave to me anyway. But we do end up getting the win with only the death to Spike, so that's good. But now the big kahuna himself, Cyrus. So we're gonna challenge him, but by the time we got here, the red chain was already active, and unfortunately we couldn't stop him. So we just gotta witness the end and downfall of the world. Unfortunately, he gets sucked into the portal, and me and Cynthia gotta chase after this guy. So we just jump on in, like there's nothing wrong with that. We have no idea what we're getting ourselves into. We are now in an absolutely crazy world called the Distortion World, which is really cool looking. I really wish they would bring this back at some point, but we start running sideways, we find a waterfall that we like to surf down, and we just, honestly, we're having a good time here in the Distortion World. We also see our best friend Cyrus on our way down, who I don't know what he's up to down here, but this man's gotta be stopped. He is a little bit ridiculous. There's that waterfall I mentioned. We make our way down, and we're getting closer and closer to finding out what is going on in this Distortion World. We finally run into Cyrus, who looks like he's trying to beat up Cynthia. We are not gonna let him put his hands on Cynthia, so we gotta show him his place, and we gotta challenge him to a battle. Now, Cyrus can definitely be a little bit scary if you don't know what you're getting yourself into. There's been plenty of times in games where I've honestly lost Nuzlocke to this man right here, but since I've played through Platinum a few times, I know exactly what to do. I know to use Scorp on the Gyarados, we gotta use that Thunderfang, we use the Aura Sphere on the Weavile, and things are honestly starting to look pretty good. Honchkrow comes out, we use the Thunderfang one more time, and he's got 1 Pokemon left, which is his, I think his Crobat. So we take on the Crobat, and we just use Aurora Beam from a Circus. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now we are ready to see what that shadowy figure is that was flying around the Distortion World. We do end up having a brief little chat with Cyrus and Cynthia right after the battle before we make our way to the shadowy figure in the back. All right, the moment of truth. Can I take on the devil himself? Yeah. Oh, no, don't say that. That's gonna scare me even more. Anyway, we come face to face with them. Giratina, basically the devil Pokemon. Now, I fully intended on just beating him down, but he was kind of a little scary. So I just used my Master Ball, and technically he's my encounter for this place, so it's totally fine. Don't tend to use him, but I'm still gonna catch him. We make our way out of the Distortion World, and we make our way to the Send-Off Spring. We could have got another encounter, but there was only Gravelers here, and I already have a Geodude. We make our way back to town, and we talk to Rowan, and he tells us, might as well get the last badge while we're at it. not like, I'm obviously gonna do that, Rowan, come on. We make our way over to Sunnyside City, and we run into this guy named Flint. He's got some nice hair. He's got an afro. I've never seen an afro like that, so honestly kind of impressive. We make our way over to the lighthouse. We talk to his friend, who's a little depressed because nobody can challenge him. But we'll change that, don't worry about that. So we make our way into the gym, we figure out all the puzzles, and we make our way to the back so we can take on the last gym leader, Volkner. Now he uses electric type Pokemon, so as long as you got ground types, you're pretty much gonna be set here. Now the only real issue I had was honestly against his Luxray. I thought Electivire was gonna be hard, but all the issues came against the Luxray. But I ended up using a poison and getting the poison off, and eventually we ended up taking him down. And we didn't lose anyone, but it was really scary. I actually used a lot of my team members, as you can see with all the experience right there. But we do get the 8th and final badge, and now we are ready to go to the Pokemon League. We talk to Jasmine, and we get the HM for Waterfall, so we can actually get to the Pokemon League. Now we are all set. We use Circus, and we use the Waterfall to get up, and now we are ready to take on the last route of the game. Into Victory Road we go. Honestly, nothing really important happens in Victory Road. We just kind of battle with the trainers, we get up our levels a little bit, and then we make our way into the light up to the Pokemon League. Now it was time to finally test our team and see if we can make it to the next region. But before we do that, we gotta heal. And of course, every time something big happens, we always gotta fight Barry. He's always there, one step ahead. Well, not really one step ahead, he's kind of 2 steps behind us. But either way, we gotta challenge him, so we take him on one last time. And my team is pretty much ready to go for the champion, so my levels are kinda high. So that's probably why I'm kind of beating him down pretty easily. So I wanted to make sure my levels didn't go past Cynthia's, which I made sure we're kind of a couple levels behind that. But that makes all the earlier fights a little bit easier. But we do beat him down without any deaths, and we heal up. And then we're finally ready to head into the Pokemon League. We show them all of our badges, and we walk on inside and accept our fate. This was it. I was finally ready for the Elite Four. We got our team up on enough levels, we changed up their moves a little bit, and we are finally ready to walk on inside and take on, not Bugsy, I always think his name's Bugsy, it's Aaron. Kind of the same vibe. Anyway, this is our team that we're kind of rocking with, and it's the team that's gonna have to get us to the very end. Anyway, let's do this. We start off with Aaron of the Elite Four, who uses Bug-type Pokemon. Very interesting choice, Aaron. But anyway, we lead with Omelette, and we just keep on doing what we've always been doing the entire game, and that's just been absolutely wrecking. Now remember, we are going to be a little bit higher level than the beginning of the Elite Four, but by the time we get to like Flynn's, it's pretty much going to even out at that point. I just wanted to make sure I stay under leveled for Cynthia. So we just keep on flamethrowing, we keep on air slashing, we just keep on doing our thing, and we beat Aaron down pretty easily. Now he's bug type, so it was never going to be too much of a challenge. But we head on up to Bertha, and we continue on to the Elite Four. Now Bertha's a little bit more of a challenge, but we got Franklin and these Razor Leafs are really gonna help us out, and we do have Leech Seed as well. But we use Circus and we use his Ice Beam, we take out the Gliscor pretty easily, we make our way onto the next Pokemon, which is her Golem, and a nice little Earthquake, you know, just takes care of that very easily. So Bertha's not very hard. Again, it's when we get to the middle, it's gonna start getting a little bit harder for us. We take out the Rhyperior with a nice Surf to the face, absolutely destroy him. Unfortunately, we have to take out a Hippowdon, which is like the exact same color as mine as well. They're both female, but we do end up beating Bertha and finishing off the second Elite Four member. Now we are ready for Flint, and this is where it starts to get a little bit harder because the levels pretty much even out at this point. But we lead with Wally, we get the Drain Punch off to heal up our health again one more time, and we just keep on keeping on. Scorpio uses that Earthquake. We just keep on, we just keep doing what we keep doing. Now, this is where I actually do lose Circus. I did not know Magmortar had Thunderbolt. Totally spaced. And I thought he would use maybe a fire move, and unfortunately he didn't. He went for Thunderbolt, which is really scary because I don't know how I'm gonna beat this Garchomp of Cynthia's, but we'll deal with that when the time comes. But we end up keeping on, and we take down Flint using these Earthquakes and just basically one-hit KOing his entire team. Critical hits, I don't think that mattered, but just there for good measure. But we take out Flint, but we are down one team member, and unfortunately it is Circus, who was like my favorite Pokemon coming into this game. So unfortunately we don't have Walrein anymore, but he served very long. He made it all the way from Hoenn all the way to Sinnoh, so we can only tip our cap off to him. Now we gotta take out Lucian. We're doing a pretty good job of it so far. We just keep on using our team, using those X scissors, using those air slashes, and we just keep on doing what we're doing. And we do make it through without any Pokemon dying. So now it was finally time to take on Cynthia. This was it. Everything that we had trained for, everything that we worked so hard to make it to, this was it, taking down Cynthia. Now I was kind of confident going into this, but just thinking about losing Walrein and like the Garchomp, I don't know how I was gonna do it. So, but we gotta do it somehow. So we start off by using Earthquake on the Spiritomb, and we use Wally to get the Leaf Blade on the Milotic. Now at this point, I'm thinking this is going pretty well so far. You know, nothing too crazy happening, so I'm riding this high right now. We get Hungry to using this. This is a really scary spot. We actually almost lost Hungry right here. He breaks through the confusion and then managed to get the Ice Fang off. And then the Sandstorm does kill the Togekiss, but that was a really close call. We get the Air Slash on the Roserade, take that out. Again, this is going very, very easily. And I was like, is this it? Is this all I'm gonna do? But then we got to the Garchomp, and that's where things got really bad. So I set up this Leechy, which is absolutely integral to me winning this battle. So I get the leech shit off, and it's basically just doing continuous damage all throughout the battle. Unfortunately, we had to keep switching our Pokemon because we had no way to take out this Garchomp. We end up losing Togekiss, and we bring out Hungry. We just keep on getting some HP back. We use our Protect. We keep basically delaying the inevitable. And I thought Scorp could maybe live this, but unfortunately he can't. We bring out Wally. We just keep on, using that Leech Seed to gain some more health. He gets a critical, which I actually think mattered a little bit. So unfortunately that happened, but we keep on using Protect, and this was it. If I didn't make this attack work right here, it was the end. So we use a Leech Seed, we get a little bit more health back, and we gotta go for the Ice Fang. If it didn't work, then we pretty much lose. She goes with a Flamethrower. Our HP does go down all the way to 5. And we do get the Ice Fang off, which does take out the Garchomp. Now, if that Leech Seed wasn't there, we would have lost this Nuzlocke. So kudos, that I had that Leech Seed there, because that basically set Hungry up to use that Protect and just keep on getting that HP. So unfortunately, we do lose a couple of team members, and we only make it out with Hungry and Franklin. So our big two Chompy boys, we'll call them Chompy boys. Our starter does make it, which is actually a first for us. We actually got our starter to make it all the way through a Nuzlocke. So congratulations, round of applause to Franklin, good for you. But we also get Hungry to make it as well, which I'm really excited for because I love Hippopotas. He's one of my favorite Pokemon, and I'm glad that he gets to join us on our journey back to the Johto region. That's right, we're going to HeartGold after this, boys. So buckle up, strap in, because we're not done with this journey yet. We got plenty more games, but we do add Hippowdon to the Hall of Fame, and we also add Torterra to the Hall of Fame as well. Now, they're the only ones who made it to the Hall of Fame, so I'm only going to show them. But we do manage to make it through the Sinnoh region. We did lose a lot of friends. We lost Walrein, we lost Scarlet. Oddball is just sitting in the PC, so I apologize to Oddball. But again, I just didn't see a spot where I would use you. But now that we're into this, it's time to begin our next journey. Now, the only question is, which starter am I going to choose to take on Johto for the second time?